Hi all. For our Chapter 8 discussion, I'm going to focus on the concepts of the antithesis, the lex talonis, and what exactly Jesus is advocating when he urges his followers to seemingly lie down on the floor and let their oppressors stomp on them. As with most things concerning Jesus, it is a bit more complicated than that. Sayings known as the antithesis are found only in the Gospel of Matthew, and a strange set of sayings they are. Jesus employs a strict rhetorical formula where he makes an initial statement, the thesis, followed by an apparently opposite statement, the antithesis. On the surface, the second statement appears to contrast Hebrew Bible tradition with his own authoritative statement. But closer examination reveals that what is really taking place is that Jesus is attempting to reveal the human motivation that often causes the commandment or tradition from the Torah to be broken. There is a deeper ethical precept that lies behind the actual legal straits of each commandment. Matthew 5:21-22 contains this example. You have learned that our forefathers were told, do not commit murder. Anyone who commits murder must be brought to judgment. But what I tell you is this, anyone who nurses anger against his brother must be brought to judgment. The point, anger is the root emotion that causes homicidal behavior. Deal with it before it leads to even more dire consequences. And in Matthew 5:38-41, you've learned that they referring to the Israel, the Hebrew Bible, are told eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. But what I tell you is this, do not set yourself against the man who wrongs you. This is followed by the famous three examples of turning the other cheek, giving up the inner as well as the outer garment, and going the extra mile. Jesus' example of how to respond to the invocation of the lex talonis. The lex talonis is summed up in verse 38. Any wrong could justly be met with an equal retaliation. This concept of justice can be found in three different places in the Torah books. Exodus 21:23-25, Leviticus 24:19-20, and Deuteronomy 19:21. The purpose of this, to prevent excessive revenge. Being wronged by someone did not permit you to kill the offending party. A wrong was righted by a measured, equivalent response. Nice in theory, but not so much in practice. Most of Jesus' followers were poor rural folk. They could take the justice allotted them by the lex talonis, that is, whoever they were struggling with would probably be in a place of power above them, such as the landowner for whom they farmed. This would not end well. Reprisal to their reprisal was sure to be swift and harsh, potentially including torture and death. To put it in the vernacular, in that day and time it sucked to be at the bottom of the economic food chain. My oh my, how the more things change, the more they stay the same. Jesus, understanding the order of things, is attempting to give his followers the tools they need to deal with those in a place of power over them with whom his followers may have a rightful grievance. Was he urging them to lie on the floor and be stomped on? Hardly. Commentator Walter Wink helps us out here. First example, striking with the back of the right hand. This is how a person in a place of power treated a social inferior, striking them with the back of the right hand. Turning the other cheek made it difficult to repeat the gesture. A side note to this is striking a social inferior with a fist was ruled out. This indicated a social equal. Second example, giving the inner as well as the outer garment is a ploy to shame the person doing the suing. Taking more than was owed would, in theory, shame the person collecting the debt. It would demonstrate in a very public way their excessive greed, seeking more than they were justly owed. Third example, going the extra mile. Roman soldiers could by law force a bystander to carry their gear for a mile but no further. Offering to go the extra mile put the soldier in a legal quandary and blurring the distinction between the person in power and the servant. Of course, the harshness of Roman military discipline may have had something to do with it as well. Shame to get flogged for letting someone carry your backpack too far. Other scholars seem to think that Jesus' main objective here is to amplify the precepts presented in the Mosaic tradition. Matthew's version of the Golden Rule, to treat others as you would like to be treated, according to Jesus, embodies the purpose of the law and the prophets. This statement is found in Matthew 7:12. Or after reciting the Torah command to love God and neighbor wholeheartedly, Jesus then comments that everything in the law and the prophets hangs on these two commandments. Matthew 22:34-30. The final antithesis expands on this idea. Jesus contrasts the command to love one's neighbor, found in Leviticus 19:18, with this common assumption that it's okay to hate one's neighbor, found in Matthew 5:43-48. See page 174 of the text for this entire passage. Loving those who love you is nothing special. In order to be like God, his followers must practice the same unconditional boundaries of acceptance that the Father offers to all humanity. Food for thought in these troubled times. Take care, have a good week, and please let me know if you have questions.